Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is the artist Scott, and I'm teaching you how to draw, and I'm using comic books as the medium to do that with. And this is the freshman class, so it's the beginning class. If you don't know anything, that's fine. Please, this is day 3, so please go back to day 1 and day 2 and go through them. Each day is going to have 4 parts in 15-minute increments, 15 minutes or so increments. And right now we're focusing on drawing the human figure, which we will for the rest of the course while we're doing this. And when I ended the part 1 to day 3, I ended it where I was drawing a non-super male. So this is where he's at, and he is shorter than a superhero generally. You kind of want to make your superheroes heroic, so they should stand taller than normal people. And this is just showing proportions. And the non-superhero is based on 7 heads, or 7.5, depending on how you look at it, depending on how it comes out. I did that too long. And then that would be the non-super male. So you see he's slightly short, well, usually a lot shorter. But I mean, again, when you do your comics, you can do it whichever way you want. These are mostly just guidelines that I learned when I was a kid, and I kind of stuck with them ever since. And we're going to do the female form. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to have her shorter than the non-super male, and we're going to have her shorter than the superhero female. And again, I'm going to bear repeating on this that don't worry so much when you're naming things, but this is the rib cage. We're going to I'm going to do some more exercises with you to help you with that. But once you stop focusing on what the names of things are, you allow yourself to just let the creative process take over. And light sketches, just so you can get an idea of where everything is. Oops, I stopped there, didn't I? And again, the whole idea behind this course is to just kind of have fun. So try not to get too caught up in a lot of this stuff. Again, the elbows end right at the bottom of the rib cage, and the hand comes down to end, and then if it's fully extended, around mid-thigh. Okay? The same proportions hold, it's just you're using a smaller head, so the characters look smaller in stature. And that's kind of basically where we're going with proportions. And I'm gonna leave it with that for today. And I'm gonna move on to more along the lines of continuing the writing portion of it and the creating portion of it. Now, when I made my notes on this, I basically broke down the job of, I shouldn't call it a job, the project that we're having here with the comics into 5 basic steps. Now, when you're talking about somebody who's people who are doing comic books professionally, there's a couple of more steps than this, but since we're doing everything by ourselves, I just broke it down into that. Now the reason I had the reason I wrote creation and writing together is because we had to start with creating the characters, and creating the characters could be done any number of ways by any number of people. It depends on who's involved. Many times an artist will just design a character and the writer will come up with a story behind it. And other times the writer will have an idea and will go ahead and explain what they want to the artist, and the artist will start designing the character. So that's kind of why I combined them together like that. And there's still some things I want to keep a notepad running along with a pen, which I do have here. And I want to keep that because there are certain things that I still need to work on. I'm not very happy with that name. Right now it's just a working title. It was while I was 13, so maybe younger. So anyway, I made a lot of notes here about what I'm going to do with the character, and what happens with that is there's also a ways to go with that. There's things that I want to work on as far as that's concerned, and what I also had you do was these index cards. I was talking in this about there's different ways to write, and since we're doing everything together, I'm going to go through the different ways. Now, with this freshman class, I'm going to kind of do, there's several types of ways to writing the comic, okay? Some companies, or I should say most of them, I think now, ask for what's known as a full script. And not all of them are done this way, but most of them are. And a full script will have, the writer will just write out everything. And that's going to be in a later course, okay? Then there's another way of working, which is also fairly popular, and it's known as plot first, or the Marvel method. And what happens is that the writer will write out what should be drawn by the artist on, like a paragraph a page. And the artist will take that paragraph and draw the page. And he'll have the whole book set up that way, and he'll just draw all the pages. Then he'll turn the pages in, and the writer will look at what the artist has drawn and then fill in everything else, the dialogue, the captions, all that good stuff. Then you kind of have flying by the seat of your pants, what I call flying by the seat of your pants. And what flying by the seat of your pants is you kind of just get in there and just start working. There was a creator from the 70s through the 90s. He was working on his own book, and what he did was he was telling us one time that whenever somebody asks him where does he get his ideas for a story, he brings up this one particular issue where the hero and his group had just taken over this city, and they were standing around going, have you found anything? No, I haven't found anything. Okay. And and then it was like, okay, so these people show up and they want to do trade in the city, and all the citizens are gone. So Cerberus has to come up with a way, the hero's name, by the way, was Cerberus. He has to come up with a way to not have the merchants all die. So he was just going page by page. He knew he had to get the issue done, and he didn't know what he was going to do, and he was just kind of saying, I don't know what to do. Do you know what to do? Literally, the characters in the story were saying that. That's what I call flying by the seat of your pants. And a lot of creators who are doing this type of work just kind of fly by the seat of their pants, just kind of make things up as you go along. When I did these, I wasn't specifically getting too detailed, because we're gonna kind of do this as a flying by the seat of your pants kind of thing, and we're gonna do it as a mini comic. And I wanted to show you what that entailed, and A mini comic is basically a comic that is a piece of paper folded over twice, okay? And later on, when you do the comic, you end up just cutting it. Now, I'm not going to ask you to cut any pages now, and the reason for that is I'll show you why. Because I wanted to show you publishing, which is when we get to go to the printer and print this stuff up. But this is essentially what our mini comic's going to look like. It's going to be a page cut in half and then folded in half. Do it this way instead. So this is an example of it, okay? And it's essentially just going to be eight pages, right? But it's going to have a cover and a back cover. So it depends on what you want to do. Now, you can add more pages, and I can show you how to do that. I'm not really going to do it because I wanted to get this quick, and it's taken me it takes me a lot of time to make these videos, mostly because I don't have a lot of free time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. I need to get spare paper. I have spare paper here, but just give me a second. I'll reach over. All right. So what I'm going to tell you to do, real quick, is I'm going to tell you to get a sample sheet here. Okay. And the sample sheet. On the sample sheet, what we're going to do is we're going to write cover here, okay? Then we're going to write, I'm going to flip this over. We're going to write 3 here, okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to write 4 here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to write back here, and we're going to flip this over again, right? And cover is in this corner. And you know what? I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at the camera, so I was looking at the paper when I was doing it. So let me go over this again in case I missed it. I'm not sure if I did or didn't. And I'm looking through the camera now. In the lower corner, we're going to write cover. Then we're going to flip it over, and we're going to write 3. Then we're going to move it to the side here. We're going to write 4. And we're going to flip it over again, and we're going to write back. Then we're going to flip it over, and behind where it says cover, what we're going to write is we're going to write inside cover. Okay. Then over here, we're going to write 6. Then we're going to flip this over and write 5 here. And then we're going to write 2 here. So basically, all right, I'm gonna stop this for now, and I'm gonna move on to the rest of the writing of the comic book as we go on. But what we're doing here is we're setting things up for like guidelines to help us with our mini comic. And I know it doesn't say page 1 because we're going to use inside cover as either page 1 or inside cover, however you want to do it. It depends on how you want to do it. Again, it's your mini comic. You want to have fun with it, so you do it the way you want to do it. But I'll show you what I'm talking about as I get to it. So this would be the end of part 2 on day 3 of the freshman class. And please join me again. I'll be posting part 3 tomorrow, but hopefully you'll be watching it together, okay? Either way. All right. Thank you very much, and join me for the next one.